Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala barakatuh. Alhamdulillah rabbil alamin, wassalatu wassalamu ala asyrafil anbiya wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Alhamdulillah, in the previous video we have explained to you how we can actually transform ourselves by using ISDT, inner speech dialogue technique, and also using the journaling technique, and how we can overcome unhelpful thinking styles. So we have many of the unhelpful thinking styles, as I mentioned to you, all or nothing thinking style, overgeneralization, mental filter, disqualifying the positive, jumping to conclusion, magnification, catastrophizing or minimization, should or must type of thinking, emotional reasoning, labeling, and then personalization. So these are the problems that we face every day, and we always have this kind of situational unhelpful thinking styles in the way we go through life. So how does this relate to our inner speech automatic thoughts, our inner speech dialogue technique, and how we can go about with it in terms of reframing? Because in psychology, especially in NLP, we have this idea of reframing. So how to reframe automatic thoughts, which is negative, and how it affects our mental model. So this is, I'm going to give you an overview back again, because this is very key. If you want to have success in life, joy, happiness, free from anxiety, free from depression, free from fear, free from worry, so many of those things that is affecting all of us. The whole humanity now is living in this kind of very edgy situation, having frustration, anguish, worry, feeling of no hope, meaninglessness, and so on. All this whole criteria that we have to reset, and to reset we do what we call reframing. So we reframe first automatic thoughts and how this affect our mental model, whether it's positive mental model or negative mental model. And the flow is somehow like this, because there's more research to be done, but I'm just giving you the flow. You see, we have our automatic thoughts and our inner speech. So automatic thoughts, I label this as negative. So we have this negative, and I label inner speech as positive. This is my labeling only. That means we are trying to bring our negative automatic thoughts, because the more than 50,000 thoughts that sprung in our consciousness every moment of our day. Every day we have more than 50,000. 80 to 90% of them are just repetitive thoughts, negative thoughts, nonsensical thoughts, things that will not happen to us, and maybe only 1 or 2% may possibly affect us. So most of it is the past, some is rumination of the future, thinking about yourself, your family, your children, your grandchildren, your great-grandchildren, thinking about this dunya, what is going to happen to it, and so on. So many things, all right? So how we are going to then develop positive inner speech. And then as we go along this, we also face with the unhelpful thinking style that I mentioned just now. So we are faced with unhelpful thinking style, and then we create mental models. So if our negative automatic thoughts is allowed to just carry on, what we do, we reinforce this automatic negative thoughts. So our unhelpful thinking style will then become the dominant model. Our mental model will be the negative mental model. That means we have this negative mental model. All right? So that is what happened to us. So without really realizing, without really reflecting, we would just follow the stream of negative thoughts on and on and on and on, and that will affect our life. That will affect our happiness, our joy, because we cannot have joy or happiness, because if your mental model is something that is developed over years of your life. So your automatic thoughts is not like today or tomorrow or yesterday. It starts when even you are a child. So your childhood, as mentioned to us in our model, I told you about our model, positive psychology model, you are impacted by your environment. From the day you exist on this earth until the day you leave this world, you will be affected by the environment. You're also affected by the social environment, the intersocial and intrasocial. Your internal environment in terms of your social environment, and the external environment in terms of society, right up to the world, and right up to the realm of the roh, the realm of the spiritual. And then we have this inner speech, and how we can reframe them. So this whole idea of reframing automatic thoughts and mental model is always to look backward. All right? And one of the techniques I've mentioned to you before is journaling. There are many techniques in which we can use, but consciously we have to know that we cannot allow our automatic negative thoughts to take control of us. So if these automatic negative thoughts take control of you, subconsciously you will be affected and it will be a very negative situation. So you are then descending towards your own sense of worthlessness, your sense of frustration, your sense of anxiety, worry, fear, and that is a normal thing. So what we can do is then we have to develop our positive inner speech. And how do we develop this positive inner speech? First is for you to know the unhelpful thinking style, which I've mentioned to you, so you can always reflect back. And then in any situation, you reframe your thoughts, all right? So this thing is reframing. So how do you reframe? There are many instances which you can reframe. Every moment of your life, you can choose the positive and the negative, or the neutral. There's always this reframe, you have the, all right, the negative, you have the positive, and then you have the neutral. It is neither here nor there, so it is neutral. So I give you an example. For example, you are driving, all right? As you are driving, all right, along the road, okay, you get into a traffic jam, and then as the traffic begin to stop and so on, you see suddenly a car driven by a young man, okay, with all his black glasses, with his fancy cap, just cutting you out, all right, and squeezing through. Not only your car, nearly causing you to hit him and cause an accident, and also the other cars in front of him. What would be your automatic thoughts at that moment? What would your automatic thoughts? Your automatic thought will say you get angry. I say, shit, this guy is really stupid. Why he's doing that? And then the whole morning, as you are going to work, you're cursing and swearing. So your mental model is a mental model of cursing and swearing. This is the unhelpful thinking style. Okay? So you can choose. That is a choice. You have a choice. But what if you just think the other way around, more positively? Maybe he looks like what I call it, not so, he's like a crazy driver, young man, hot, and so on. But what if you think positively maybe, you know, he's rushing to see his father who is in hospital, who is dying. He just got the news that the father is dying in hospital, so he has to reach the hospital as fast as he can. So he just cut you out, and you nearly caused an accident and cut another car and so on. What do you then feel about that person now? This is where you reframe. First is a negative reframe. You are crazy driver, shit, you know, young man, maybe drunk and so on. From you reframe, you become positive. Maybe he has a father who is dying. So automatically you feel a sympathy for him, and you would not get angry. All right? You would not get angry because basically then your whole day is beautiful. So every moment of your life, you will have this kind of situation. Every moment, every day of your life, you can choose whether to act negatively or to act positively, and you can reframe the same situation. A negative situation, just like just now, can be turned into something that is neutral if you just, for example, if you just don't care about him, you just say, Astaghfirullahalazim, Astaghfirullahalazim, Astaghfirullahalazim. May Allah save this young man from any accident. You dua for him. And that's what a good idea. For example, many times I've been cut off by these young motorbikers. They just go on the highway. I'm going already at almost 100 km. They are going more than 130, 140, and there's little lane, little gap between my car and another car beside me, and he just, in the local language, they get chilo. They just swerve in, and I have to slam my brake just to avoid him at 100 km. You can imagine, 110 km on the highway to save his life. All right? So you can curse and swear at him for being reckless, because young men, you know, they are hot, they think life is, you know, is so worthless and so on. I do not know what they're thinking, but then if that is a situation, you can just slam your brake and say, Astaghfirullahalazim, 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 and then you just say, may Allah save this boy this motorcyclist from any accident. Ya Allah, protect him. So from here you have made yourself neutral and you have made yourself positive. Alright? So the same thing, you have your own situation, say with your child, with your friend, with your relative. You know, a lot of people in their relationship, in relative relationship, never speak the whole life because of one incident. Maybe somebody got more 50 years ago. For 50 years, they never talk to each other. All right? You have taken the mental model of a negative idea that is kept in your heart, kept in your subconscious and conscious mind all the time. So you label your relative as no good. Whereas it's just an incident that maybe, yes, they have done something bad, but that matter is so small that actually within 10 days or 20 days or maybe 1 month that could have been resolved, but not kept for the next 50 years. So what is important is always you look at the situation, reframe from negative, you bring towards the positive as much as you can. I'm not saying that we are all angelic. We are not angels. We are human beings. We are subjected to the push and pull of the environment. Whether it's the push and pull of our very existence on earth, our economic situation, the unfairness, the injustice that's imposed on us by, for example, the politicians or the evildoers of the world, who is, for example, affecting, for example, many people in the world, all right, or by the corrupt, or by the unjust. All those things affects us. Naturally, we feel bad about it. We can be negative about them, but then we can hope. If it is beyond us, we just ask dua for Allah that we make this country good, this world good. For example, like we know that all of us are responsible for the destruction of the environment today. All of us, including myself, yourself, everybody, we are having mass extinction of species. The 6th mass extinction of species that will not, if it's not stopped, will cause our own extinction. We know that. Maybe in 50, 100 years, not that far off. It's just 1, 2 or 3 generations away. What can we do? We can moan about it. We can just have a negative thinking that how I'm going to save my life and my family life. That's what some rich people trying to do. They try to build a silo somewhere where they can store food for 10 years or 5 years. All that is the irrational, negative attitude towards a solution. But if we can all work together to make this world a better world, especially we Muslims, Allah has ordained this ummah to be leaders, to make this world, because we are infused with the ruh or the spirit from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When He infused that ruh, He elevated us from the animal level to the human level. So we have this role as His Khalifa on this earth. We are His servant and His Khalifa, and we have a wonderful purpose and meaning in life for us to reframe ourselves so that we are always thinking of the best that we can do. So inshallah, remember, always put into your mind these feelings that Allah has created us, have honored us to be Bani Adam, and He's given us the task and responsibility to be His sincere servant and His Khalifa on this earth. And we reframe ourselves and always striving to make ourselves good, to help others to be good, and make this world good and pleasing for all creatures of Allah, Muslim, non-Muslims, human beings, birds, bees, everybody, this environment. And inshallah, then we create a wonderful life of peace, happiness, joy and success for all humanity and all good creatures on this earth, receiving the grace, the mercy and the blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this world and the hereafter, inshallah.